All right, so you want to talk Cybertruck.
Oh, we're definitely talking Cybertruck.
Seems like everyone's got an opinion on this thing.
Yeah, it's like the world's most expensive paper airplane or something. I mean, have you seen the design of this thing?
It's polarizing, that's for sure. But hey, we're diving into all of it today. We've got a mountain of articles, reviews, even Elon Musk's late night tweets. We're not holding back.
Yeah, I gotta love those late night tweets.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's cut through the hype. Is the Cybertruck a true innovator or just a really expensive way to stand out in a crowded parking lot? That's what we're here to figure out.
Right. Like one reviewer said, looking at this thing is like staring into the future of car design. But then he throws in this anecdote about his girlfriend. Apparently, she saw it and immediately declared that all other cars are now obsolete.
That's one way to put it. But it's classic Tesla, right? Generate that buzz, get people talking, good or bad.
Oh, for sure. I mean, remember those early Tesla Roadster days? People laughed. Electric luxury car, who'd have thought?
Yeah.
But now look.
Exactly. They're everywhere now. But this truck thing, that's a whole other beast. Truck owners, man, they're loyal.
Super loyal, like it's part of their identity.
Yeah.
So how does Tesla even start to compete with that?
That's the million-dollar question. Maybe they're hoping that just being so audacious is enough. But putting that aside for a minute, there are some interesting design choices here, like that exoskeleton they keep hyping up.
Yeah, the reviewer we were talking about earlier, he seemed kind of iffy about that.
Yeah, it's not exactly this revolutionary leap-in, like, structural integrity that I think they wanted us to believe.
So more marketing hype than anything else.
Maybe, maybe not. It's definitely a clever take on a unibody design, that's for sure. I mean, that's becoming more and more the norm, but they're spinning it as this game changer. But the stainless steel, now that's pretty cool. Tough, rust-proof.
Until you get a speck of pollen on it, the reviewer was not kind about that.
Right, like who knew stainless steel could be so high maintenance? It's like the exact opposite of what a work truck should be.
You're hauling hay in your stainless steel show pony. So are we seeing a pattern here? Innovation, but maybe not so practical.
I think so, yeah. And it continues inside, too. The drive-by-wire system blew the reviewer away. Super precise handling.
And the rear wheel steering. Apparently, this massive truck handles like a go-kart. That seems like a big deal.
Oh, totally. Especially if you're trying to maneuver in tight spots. This is the kind of tech that could actually get some tech-savvy people who would never consider a truck to think twice.
But then there are the door handles.
Don't even get me started. The reviewer was not a fan, found them super awkward.
And that single windshield wiper. Like something out of a cartoon.
It is huge.
Yeah.
But gotta do what you gotta do with that windshield, right?
Form over function strikes again. Speaking of which, the frunk, or should I say lack thereof, 2 carry-on suitcases. Come on.
Seriously, the Rivian R1T, that thing's got a frunk you could practically live out of. Tesla really missed the mark there. I mean, frunk space is huge for EV truck owners. It's all about that adventure lifestyle. You need a place for your gear.
You can't exactly throw a kayak in the backseat of a Cybertruck.
Yeah, not unless you want to get really creative.
So it's got this super futuristic look. Maybe not the most practical thing for, your average truck person. But what about actually driving it? This reviewer said it felt like driving a video game.
Yeah, that drive-by-wire system is something else. Like, it gives you crazy, precise control over the acceleration, the braking. Makes it feel super responsive.
Okay, so it handles well. But what about all the tech? Autopilot, self-driving, all that. The reviewer said it wasn't actually ready yet.
Yeah, that's Tesla for you. Always pushing the limits. But sometimes they promise a little more than they can deliver, at least right away. Especially with Autopilot. They've had some hiccups there, to say the least.
Is it really pushing the limits if it's not even ready yet, though? I don't know. Feels like a bit of a gray area. But anyway, we've talked about design, we've talked about tech, but what about the actual truck stuff, like hauling, towing, all that?
Well, the bed is pretty interesting. That angular design actually makes it super aerodynamic, which is cool.
And that tonneau cover that comes standard, that's a nice touch.
Right. Keeps everything nice and secure. But, going back to the frunk, or lack thereof, that definitely limits what you can carry overall. Plus, I don't even know where you'd find a toolbox that fits that weird bed shape.
Maybe that's their next move. Tesla-branded Cybertruck toolboxes.
Wouldn't surprise me. But you know what the reviewer really loved? Those power outlets in the bed.
Oh, yeah, he mentioned those.
120 volt and a 240 volt. That's huge for contractors, construction workers, anyone who needs to power tools or equipment on the go.
Super convenient. But let's be real, for electric vehicles, range is the million-dollar question, especially for trucks. How far can this thing go?
Reviewers got 318 miles on a single charge.
Wow. Okay, not bad.
But That was without towing anything. And we all know those range estimates can be a little, shall we say, optimistic in the real world.
Yeah, especially once you factor in things like, I don't know, hills, wind, using the heater in the winter.
Exactly. Plus, they initially promised even more range, which they're now saying will be possible with an optional extra battery pack. But guess what? It takes up even more cargo space. So it's like, do you want range or do you want to be able to haul anything? Pick one.
It's a tough call, for sure. What about charging? That's always a concern with EVs.
It's got a crazy fast peak charging rate at the superchargers, which is great. But, and this is a big but, the reviewer said that the charging speed plummets after that initial blast.
So you're stuck waiting around for an hour just to get the last little bit?
Basically, yeah. Not exactly ideal for a long road trip. It really highlights the whole charging infrastructure problem we have, especially for electric trucks. If Tesla wants people to use these things for more than just cruising around town, they've got a lot of work to do.
It does make you wonder if maybe this first generation is really geared more towards the early adopter crowd, people who are willing to overlook some of these, let's call them quirks, to be on the cutting edge.
I think that's a fair assessment. And it's not all bad. I mean, think about it. Without those early adopters, we wouldn't have a lot of the cool tech we have today. They're the ones who are willing to take the risk to be the guinea pigs, so to speak.
True, true. But speaking of quirks, do we talk about the lack of a rearview mirror? I mean, seriously.
It's wild. They're really leaning into that camera tech.
Well, at least the reviewer said the backup camera was really clear.
It better be. But still, relying solely on cameras in something that big, it's a little unnerving. Again, it's Tesla pushing boundaries, but is it pushing them in the right direction? That's the real question.
That's the question, all right. So we've got this truck that looks wild, has some cool tech, but also some head-scratching design choices, and may or may not be ready for prime time. Is it just a novelty, or is this actually the future of trucks? What do you think? It's like they said, let's take a sports car, a pickup truck, and that spaceship Elon's always dreaming about, and mash them all together.
Yeah, something like that. But that's what makes this whole thing so interesting, right? It's making everyone rethink what a truck can even be.
Maybe it's about time someone shook things up a little. The truck world's been kind of predictable for a while now.
For sure. Big gas guzzling, kind of. Same old, same old.
Exactly. So maybe the Cybertruck, even with its quirks, is a taste of what's to come.
It could be. Think about the Model S. Way back when, people were skeptical. An electric sedan taking on Mercedes and BMW, and now...
And now they're everywhere.
Exactly. But trucks, that's different. Like we said, truck people are loyal.
So how does Tesla even crack that?
Well, they're not just selling a truck. Right, they're selling an idea. Sustainability, being on the cutting edge, all that.
And let's be real, that Tesla cool factor is a real thing.
Oh, absolutely. You drive a Tesla, it's a statement. People notice. You don't get that with every car, or truck for that matter.
That's got to count for something, right?
Maybe that's Tesla's in.
Could be. It's like they've created this whole brand that goes beyond just the vehicle itself. It's aspirational.
Yeah, the reviewer, he even said the Cybertruck felt more like a smile-making machine than, a workhorse. Maybe that's enough. Maybe it is. If people enjoy driving it, if it makes them feel good, that's huge. And if Tesla can actually deliver on all their promises, iron out those autopilot issues, get the charging infrastructure sorted.
Yeah, that's the big if.
It is. But they've pulled it off before.
True. True. Big risks, big rewards, I guess.
Exactly. And whether the Cybertruck ends up being a massive hit or a total flop, it's making the whole industry rethink things.
That's a good point. It's pushing everyone forward. So what are we left with? For everyone out there trying to decide between joining the Cybertruck revolution or sticking with their, perfectly good gas guzzler, well, sometimes the most interesting journeys are the ones you don't expect, right? Maybe the future of trucks is electric, angular, and a little bit weird. And hey, maybe that's not such a bad thing.